We're back and we're live again because not so much that we're hearing from SBA. That would be a miracle. That would be an unbelievable.
Don't make me laugh so early in the show.
Miracle. But really what we wanted to share with you is some of the things we're seeing just today from clients and other sources on how the SBA just might be trying to somewhat backtrack on the snafu of the letter declination.
Linda, let's call it what it is. The SBA apparently this morning looks like they're trying to repair the massive tidal wave event of declinations last week for thousands, or I don't know, tens of thousands of EIDL files. And as is often the story with the SBA, no transparency, no clarity, and no messaging. How about an email to everybody saying, I'm Isabel Guzman, I am the administrator, this is what we're doing. No, we're going to share with you right now what two things we've seen so far this morning and our advice on how you can proceed with getting your EIDL approved.
And overcoming this declination letter that we're still unclear as to how they devised their own internal system to send this out.
You're going to roll video, our little introduction video? B-roll, roll B-roll.
I wasn't really going to because it's not WTF Wednesday.
Oops.
So no, just get into it. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. First development. Let's talk about what happened last week. You want to fill them in on that, Linda, while I prep the other stuff here, which is basically.
I think that's why they're here. They know what happened.
Well, let's not assume, because, you know, when you assume.
Many people received a declination letter after waiting months and months to receive funding, whether it was an increase or reconsideration, and they sent out a letter unbeknownst. It was just, you know, all of a sudden they got a declination.
And they were in huge numbers.
Huge.
It was a wave starting last Tuesday, a week ago today, anywhere from, you know, thousands, I don't know, tens of thousands. Who knows? Nobody knows what the true numbers are because, you know, SBA doesn't talk to us out here in the world.
Okay, so let's get right into it because this is not going to be one of those long shows. This is where we're just sharing some of the things we've seen that the SBA correspondence is to clients. So go on.
Well, only one is the correspondence. The other one is the usual SBA nonsense. So let's talk about the correspondence first and foremost. One of our clients forwarded an email this morning that they received today at 10:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time from Disaster Customer Service, not from the PDC Reconsideration team, which is normally where these emails come from, not from the COVID Increase team, which is where some of these emails come from. And by the way, folks, just to be clear, as far as we know and we can surmise about the SBA workings, the PDC Reconsideration team and the COVID Increase team is the same team. The reason I can say that is because on the dozens, I mean, we probably have 70 odd increase clients we are working with, of which about a dozen or 15 or so have been approved and funded. On submitting documents that we have done for our clients in response to loan officers reaching out by phone or email, often I'll get an email back, or the client gets an email back, not from COVID Increase team, but from PDC Reconsideration email. So same group of folks. How SBA breaks it up internally, it's just more confusion. Let's not try to figure that out. But for your purposes, it's going to be important later in today's show as we describe to you our recommended action, why you need to understand that as far as we can understand, the PDC Recon team and the COVID Increase team, same folks. All right, here's the email that our client received this morning from Disaster Customer Service, not Reconsideration. Thank you for your recent inquiry, etc. And here's the key element why we believe this email is reflective of SBA's response to repair their massive wrench they threw in their machine last week. Here's the key sentence. The SBA administrator has requested the Office of Disaster Assistance respond directly to your correspondence. This is coming right from Isabel Guzman's office.
Is it though?
The SBA administrator. Listen, you sent in a letter to Isabel Guzman about the insurance, but who did the response come from?
Someone else.
But what did the letter say? The SBA administrator has asked me to contact you.
I'm just being the small business owner with skepticism, as I'm sure many who are watching this right now are in the same position of like,
Okay,
really?
let me put you all your mind at ease. Veteran mortgage loan officer, 30 years mortgage business. I promise you, if you're at a mortgage company or you're at a bank and you're working on an FHA, Federal Housing Administration loan, or a Veterans Administration, VA loan, when guidelines and communications come down the pike from those general offices, whether it's specific to a file or a general memorandum, not once ever does it have the sentence, the administrator of HUD, the director of HUD has directed FHA to contact you. The director of the Veterans Administration has directed us to contact you. Not ever in 30 years have I ever seen that. So when I read an email that in the first paragraph from customer service says, the SBA administrator has requested the Office of Disaster Assistance to contact you, to respond directly to correspondence, that sounds to me like it's a directive and it's not just specific to this file. And we're going to go cut to the end of this email to tell you why this is a generic template. This is signed by, sincerely, PAM C, the letter C, Office of Disaster Assistance.
Who's PAM C?
Yeah, you know who PAM C is, folks?
Who's PAM C?
I don't believe that PAM C is a real person. You know why I don't believe Pam C is a real person in the SBA? Because I've seen Pam C's signature on dozens of template emails over the last 7 months, since January.
We need to find Pam C.
In fact, this very client has multiple businesses with EIDL applications, some that have been approved, some that are still in process. And this client has forwarded to me emails he and his partner, his fiance, have both received from Pam C. I even made a joke one day a couple of months ago. I said, oh, I guess Pam C is busy today because that given day, I must have received 15 Pam C template emails saying the same thing on a whole bunch of files. So we haven't seen any other emails so far. Check your email, and as always with SBA, check your spam folder because often your email goes there from SBA. But I would bet dollars to donuts. Some of you or many of you will be receiving this email, which is we are assuming this is SBA's way to fix the mess from last week. Okay. Now here's the second paragraph to kind of summarize it. Your request to increase your previously approved EIDL loan and the attachments you provided have been forwarded to our management team at the Processing and Disbursement Center and is currently under review. You will be notified in writing of our final determination. So now we have another element here. Number one, because of the PAM C signature, this appears to be a template. Number two, the first paragraph indicates that this directive is coming from the very top of the SBA, from the administrator's office, Isabel Guzman. And number three, this client's increase request file has been, and they've received their declination. They received the declination letter like everyone else did the other day. This file has been elevated to a management level for review. Okay.
Okay.
So this looks like fix number one. Here's fix number two, and it continues the standard SBA.
This is all still speculative.
All speculative.
But this is also actual. This is an actual email that came in that it seems to appear as an attempt to fix something for this.
Well, this was an
file.
increase request that has been in process and that received a declination in the letter the other day, just like everyone else did.
Okay.
Many of our clients received them. Many more of you out there, thousands or tens of thousands of you received them. Our phones are blowing up. Our emails are blowing up here at Aurora Consulting with folks like you desperate to figure out what to do. We're going to recommend a course of action in just a few moments. But so we are assuming that this template is an attempt at a fix. But here's another problem. Continuing SBA's bad messaging, bad clarity of communications, and confusion and chaos. I read on a Facebook group a couple of hours ago, right around the same time that this email arrived, around 10:30 this morning, 10:45 this morning, a woman who had posted that her increase was declined last week claims that she spoke to 3 different tier 2 agents. And she clearly, in her thread of comments on Facebook, she said, I know how to tell the difference between calling customer service and dealing with somebody who's making it up and BSing me and somebody who sounds legitimate. And believe me, I'm with that gal, because that's when I call SBA, I interact the same way. I know when they're BSing me or when I have a legit, really good quality agent on the phone, and I act and respond accordingly. So this woman on the Facebook group posted the following, that she spoke to 3 different tier 2 agents, and they said, we are resetting the portal.
What? The
For
portal?
all of the people who were declined last
Don't
week.
mention the portal. Oh my
Okay,
gosh,
yeah.
major portal.
We're going to reset the portal.
Disputes.
And so this woman went back in, and sure enough, her portal had been reset to say loan modification in process. Okay, listen, if you all are desperate and worried about what's happening with the SBA, and this happens for all of you, we are pulling for all of you. We want that to be the solution.
Yes.
But Linda,
yes.
you want to share with them why we don't trust the SBA to fix this massive mistake so efficiently?
Because they haven't yet for 16 months.
Bingo.
Sometimes I really guess, because we don't have this where I'm actually, do I know the answer or do I not know the answer? Don't know this question's coming. But so I'm so glad when I actually get it right.
The errors, the mistakes are with the workings of the SBA, whether the portal is breaking down, you upload documents, it says incorrect. Whether an SBA agent doesn't know, she's underwriting your file, she doesn't know the difference between a DBA and an LLC. Whether they don't know, they quote a credit score minimum of 690. What? Whether they call you up, as I got the call one day saying, you know, we have a discrepancy on the file, Trevor. You wrote 186,000 on the application, but I have a tax transcript that says 17,000. I said, yeah, you're right, because you're looking at the business owner's personal tax return, but we filed the application under the business name.
There's
this is
countless.
The kind of legendary.
Even yesterday, we mentioned this last night, where you completed the reconsideration package, and they are saying that we sent the wrong tax return.
Oh, yeah.
We sent state instead of federal. We never send state.
I haven't submitted a state tax return in 30 years in the mortgage business.
I mean,
so I'm certainly going to start now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, we do not trust the SBA to fix this mistake. It's a machine, and they put a wrench in the works of that machine. So again, stay tuned, because as we progress through the show, we're going to take some questions and answers. We'll take some questions and we'll answer, but we are going to provide a recommended course of action for you step by step. So by the way, that same client who received the email at 10:37 this morning to say that their loan was elevated to a management level, and the email came from the template name of PAM C, that we believe is not a real person. We believe it's a template thing at SBA. Well, they not half an hour later received an email basically saying, we've reviewed all your files, there's 3 of them, and you're still declined. And they go, by the way, I know that somebody read the files, someone at management level, and I know the level of detail they went to, because I've got paragraphs here in this email from the SBA detailing specific information about each of the businesses. Gross revenue, cost of goods sold, gross revenue, cost of goods sold, like the exact numbers that are on the tax transcript, the numbers the client put on their loan application last year. And as a result of these discrepancies, we are unable to overturn your decision to decline your EIDL increase request. Okay. But they leave the door open, Linda.
They do. Let's open the door.
Now, if you've been watching our videos, you know how much I despise the word discrepancy. The SBA is abusing that word and abusing all of you with its nonsense. SBA is refusing to acknowledge or remember what went on in the spring of 2020 as the COVID pandemic became a panic attack disaster for you, small business owners. The SBA forgets, number one, there were no instructions on how to fill out an EIDL application, and there still are none to this day. Right. I filled one out the other day. There's no instructions. Okay. And you all, when you filled this out last year, you were in panic mode. You were worried the money was going to run out. And by the way, you all are still worried the money's going to run out. Okay. So you were back. So what did you do? People were like, you got to hurry up and get this money. And people went on their smartphones and on their laptops and they blew through these applications, which the SBA says you should take 2.5 hours to complete. And they blew these applications out in 16 minutes and made all kinds of mistakes, including putting in the incorrect revenues and cost of goods sold, which even if you slowed down to try to find it, guess what? It was March, April, May of 2020. You hadn't even filed the 2019 tax return yet. So you did not have this data. And if I spoke to somebody yesterday, a $2 million a year revenue company, they said our CPAs hadn't even finished our audited financials, Trevor. And that business is a biotech business that does government research work. They are required to have audited financials. So even if they wanted to put together a correct data set last year, they wouldn't have been able to. And the SBA refuses to acknowledge this or accept this as a legitimate explanation for why you have a discrepancy. Okay, we're going to do a separate video about this discrepancy situation and how you can react to it. We'll do that, and we'll post that here on our channel. But back to this declination, which showed up a half an hour after the email said, we have elevated you as per the SBA administrator to a management level. And a manager clearly underwrote the file. But considering it showed up only 30 minutes later, really, how much time did they really spend on these files? But here's where they left the door open, Linda Ray.
Tell me.
If you, the declination is, as a result of these discrepancies, we're unable to overturn our decision to decline your EIDL loan request, increase request. If you disagree with this determination, you will need to provide supporting documentation satisfactory to the SBA to address the discrepancies in the financial information reported on your self-certified electronic loan applications and that reported on the 2019 federal tax returns you provided. So they've left the door open. You may submit your written explanation. Now, here's again, when I make assumptions about these things that we make statements about here, Lynn, on our show.
Yep.
What's my database for these? It's the files that I work on every day.
Oh, yeah.
7 days a week. My interactions with the SBA.
It's actual real time.
And it's also the results. And results, by the way, our clients have received nearly $7 million of approvals and or fundings on SBA programs in the last 7 weeks. So we kind of sort of know what we're talking about because we actually get results. We're working on over 230 plus files right now. And we are not only working on one loan like some other people.
You should airdrop that to me right now so I can put it up on the screen as a snapshot of the language.
I can't airdrop an email.
You can take a snapshot on your phone as an image and then send it to me.
You did say that image.
Yeah, did I?
Yeah, I'm so hot to trot here. Okay,
I kind of know what I'm doing.
I airdropped it to you.
Thank you. All right.
This is happening, folks, in real time. We wanted to get on here today to share this with you because we know everybody's in a panic state. Okay, so SBA has left the door open on this particular situation where they're saying you can file a reconsideration. But here's where, again, when we say to you, we collect our data from actually working on files, and the information we share with you here in our live shows and our YouTube videos and our blogs and so forth is all based on our real experiences working on hundreds of situations.
Yeah, situations.
For EIDL, whether it's an original application or reconsideration or appeal or whatever. Okay, real experiences that we share with you and backed up with my loan officering experience, 30 years in the mortgage industry to help kind of interpret for you what these things are. So here's my interpretation. Earlier, I made the bold and outrageous statement that the PDC reconsideration team and the COVID increase team is the same team. I did say that, right, Linda?
Yeah, you said that.
I said that. Yeah. By the way, how often am I wrong?
It's enough for me to celebrate when it does happen and it's in my favor. So I do have memories of you being wrong and
you mean actually, like last night with the iPad charger?
And relishing in it. And relishing in it.
But how often am I wrong about this EIDL process?
This, not so much. Not so much. No, okay. No, this financing stuff, you're like dead serious.
I want to prove to you all once again that I'm right by making the assumption that I shared with you earlier as we started the show. I made the statement that the PDC reconsideration team and the COVID increase team are the same people. I have it in proof. It's right here. It's in writing. I have it in proof. written proof of evidentiary support. Okay, here's the proof. This email, which declines our decision to decline your EIDL increase request. This is a loan that was submitted for an increase request. Says if you disagree, you can submit documents. And guess where they want you to submit the documents to? PDC Reconsideration Team. You may submit your written explanation to the PDC Reconsideration Department at pdc.reconsideration@sba.gov, which, by the way, is an email address I've never seen in my life.
Yeah.
Because the email address we've all been using for over years, pdcrecons@sba.gov. So again, this is signed, by the way, by PAM C.
Oh, PAM C again.
That's why I said to you before, PAM C is a template name that the SBA uses. They can't even have a real human being write these.
You don't actually know for a fact that PAM C doesn't exist.
You know why I know proof that she doesn't exist?
One.
In almost every other signature from an SBA representative, you know what's in the signature?
What?
Their title and their phone number.
Ah, okay.
You know what PAM C has? Nothing.
Yeah.
It says PAM C, Disaster Customer Assistance. Okay. All right. So, confusion and chaos. Last week, the SBA machine. Oh, thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Kate. There's a little button underneath the live chat. It's a little gray $sign. And oh, thank you, Drink Tea. Kate's
thank you.
Cute.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we want to talk about recommended course of action for you, but let's recap again today's show. What we're talking about today is that last week, the SBA had a massive declination letter tidal wave that went out to thousands or tens of thousands of you who are desperately in need of this increase on your original EIDL loan. I mean, I spoke to someone yesterday who is they're running their business on fumes. And they basically said, if we don't get this money in the next 30 days, we might be out of business forever, Trevor. Okay. So that's what's going on. We feel your pain. That's why we're here to try to share with you our actual experience.
Actually, I do want to, I want to address this, even though I don't feel like we should have to explain our style or our content creation.
I'm going to sit back and let Linda do a little speech
I don't
here.
think we should have to justify how we feel, how we want to deliver our intel or our info or our opinion based on working on the actual file. But, you know, what we've seen is how we've conducted with our clients. Not everyone is going to agree with what we say, how we say it, our videos and our messaging. We just had a wonderful exchange with somebody today who was really politely sarcastic. And I basically,
he was really mean.
He was
rude and he was arrogant and he was mean. And we left his post up so you can see it.
And as much as we don't usually respond to those types, we did respond. And he came back with some more stuff. But what I thought was even more interesting in his reply was, if you can't take it, don't put yourself out there. But, you know, I think the underlying message there to me is, so let me get this straight. If we put ourselves out there because we want to try to help with as accurate information as possible, because the SBA is really not helping anyone to the extent that they should be as the advocate to protect small business as an agency in America. But does that give you license to be mean because we're putting ourselves out there? Does that give people license to be the trolls and haters and the comments just because we put ourselves out there? I just, as a side note, sidebar, tangent, distraction, I'm just completely like, wow. So I put ourselves out there and you have to come back with a stupid comment.
Okay.
All right. Sorry.
All right, step back from the edge there. Step back from the edge.
It was close. It was close.
Take a deep breath. All right, champ. Okay, champ. Get in there, Rocky. And toss him. Take him down, Rocky. All right, this is it, Rocky. Go on.
Come me, Mick. Come me. Okay.
All right, anyway. Julian, we'll come back to your question in just a minute. So leave Julian's question up or bring it back in a moment. But we'll open it up for Q&A in just a few moments, folks. again, to recap where we are, and we will do this recap again before we sign off today. Here's our recap. Last week, massive wave of declination letters went out from the SBA to increase clients and regular reconsideration clients, folks that had been declined for other reason who had been put in reconsideration requests. A tidal wave, if you will. And this is freaking everybody out. And there's no SBA messaging. And today, we have encountered 3 situations so far, 2 in writing from the SBA, 1 kind of a hearsay comment from somebody on a Facebook group about her interaction on the phone with SBA, which are all leading to my ongoing statements about the SBA's confusion and chaos. We said this last night on our live show, hey Doc, if you think the SBA is going to fix this thing that they broke, you are sadly mistaken. And we have our proof this morning. Number 1, an email from SBA to one of our clients who was declined last week in the wave of increased request declines, saying, we have elevated you as per the SBA administrator to management level, and we will be in touch. Okay. So this looks like an attempt to fix the broken thing. But then that client gets 30 minutes later another email saying, no, we've reviewed your file, and there's detail level in the email that you can tell somebody really looked at the file. But did they really look at it? Because what they wound up doing out of hand was declining the file for the usual nonsense, the BS about discrepancies, where the SBA refuses to agree with any of you that it was complete chaos last year when you filled out these EIDL applications. Yeah. And no, my data doesn't match up for a lot of reasons. Okay.
So wait, what part
let me finish. And number 3 is the woman on Facebook shared that she had spoken to 3 tier 2 agents this morning who told her, oh, what we're going to do is reset the portal for the increase. And she went back in, and sure enough, her portal had reset. Is that the fix? Is the email that the administrator had these people send out the fix? No, we don't know. So here's what our recommended course of action is. And then I'm going to hand it over to Linda, and we'll do Q&A. One thing we know for certain about the SBA EIDL, COVID-19 EIDL process since March, April of 2020 is the following facts about the machine known as the SBA EIDL application. This is the machine. You file an application. You are declined for the application. You must file a reconsideration. If your reconsideration is declined, you have 30 days. I'm sorry. If your application is declined, you have 6 months, up to 6 months, to submit a reconsideration request. The SBA sends you the declination letter, and it's in writing on the letter. You may request a reconsideration of this decision up to 6 months. Number 3, if your reconsideration is declined, you may request what's called an appeal, and you have 30 days to submit the appeal from the date that your reconsideration is declined. That's the mechanism. And so what, are you all telling me, SBA, that you're going to change that machine mechanism? Listen, you folks at SBA, you couldn't get it right last week. Someone at the SBA threw a wrench in the middle of the machine works and threw out these declination letters, and you're saying now that, no, you're not going to have to file a reconsideration on your declined loan, even though that's our normal process. I don't trust it, and that's why our continuing advice to you out there, if you have been declined, send in a reconsideration request and do it today. All right, Linda Ray, take it away.
All right, Linda Ray. So Q&A time. We've got some questions. I'm going to go back as far as I can.
Oh, Doc, love you too.
And if I miss you, I'll see what I can do here. All right.
Well, we had Julian's question earlier, and we had someone else commenting about $2 million.
Yeah. Well, here's one.
No, never going to happen.
Okay. All right. Jenny. Hey, Jenny. Thanks for your Google review.
Thank you, Jenny. And thanks for joining us today. So my answer, Jenny's question is, do we have limited appeals? Okay. I love this question, Jenny, because my personal and professional opinion is this. If the SBA was a well-oiled machine,
which it's not,
and if the SBA ran with some semblance of basic functionality,
which it doesn't,
and if the SBA said to you, your process is, if your loan is declined, you have 6 months to file a reconsideration, and if your reconsideration is declined, you have 30 days to file an appeal, and that's all you get. If the SBA was a well-oiled, functional machine.
Mm-hmm.
Well-oiled, functional machine. That's your turn.
Which it isn't.
Then I would respect both of those timelines, Jenny. I would respect it. I would say to my clients, look, we've exhausted all attempts. There's no going back. We're done. Here's the problem. She just said it. It's not a well-oiled machine. It's not a functional machine. And so therefore, Jenny, as we say to people all the time, Trevor's golden rule as a loan officer with 30 years in the business, always apply. That means if you are declined, just keep going back.
Yeah.
Just keep going back, folks, until the president of the United States says, hey, all of you who are filing reconsideration, cut it out.
Yeah. The other thing too is if they've not had written guidelines from the beginning.
They still don't.
And they still don't, which means
how do you know?
How do you know?
How do you know, Jenny Combs, if there's a limit to the reconsideration? Are you going to call the SBA and ask them? Oh, heck, I wouldn't ask them what time of day it was.
And also, since this is a government program and you're a taxpayer, you're entitled to these funds. The fact that SBA, as the Small Business Administration, whose job it is to protect small business, isn't prepared, has never been prepared with their infrastructure for the magnitude of this crisis and this declared disaster. I don't know where this is, and this is not the first time this question's come up, but I've got one shot at this reconsideration. What? No, you don't. No, you don't. Listen, if the SBA had their act together and they had extreme care with how to guide a business owner to get their loan. And let's also not forget, this is the first time many business owners are applying for a business loan. They've never applied for a business loan. They've never been through a financing process. Maybe they've purchased a house in that regard. Maybe they bought a car. Maybe they opened a new credit card. But a business loan? So many people aren't familiar with the process and the intricacies of what it takes for someone to lend money and the qualifications. Anyway,
especially on commercial financing, which is a whole morass of manic, crazy nonsense.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Valerie. So if you have questions, folks, fire away. We're happy to answer some questions. Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah.
They told me yesterday to file an appeal.
Yeah. No.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Do it.
File it. And if you decline for the appeal, send it in again.
Don't stop. Keep going.
Look, folks, here's where my philosophy comes about. First of all, I spent 30 years with FHA mortgages and VA mortgages. I did some of the toughest loans out there. My motto was, if you had $15,000 in a dream, I put you into a house. And I helped folks with all kinds of income, credit issues. As long as I felt confident they were going to make the payments, I was going to go to bat for them and use the government guidelines to help them get approved and make their dream come true. And that's what I did for 3 decades. And by the way, no foreclosures.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
So let's talk about the 40 days, the 30 days.
Oh, okay.
Again,
I'll be back to you trucking.
Again, if there were guidelines, you could honor. Here's the thing: if you are eligible for the EIDL program, and I'm going to talk about eligibility just in a moment. If you are eligible, then you should keep fighting. The fact that SBA's dysfunction is preventing you, Jenny, and other folks like you from getting approved should not prevent you from filing again. And by the way, as I read to you just a moment ago, this email came to our client this morning, declining them for a second time on the increase request. Remember, she got the declination letter the other day as part of the wave declination letters. Then she gets an email this morning, as per the SBA administrator, that we've elevated to a management. And then she gets an email shortly thereafter, you're declined again. Twice declined in 1 week. But at the end of the second decline email, it says, if you disagree, you can file supporting document. Is there confusing messaging there or what? You know what that tells me, Jenny Combs and others? Go ahead and file. Keep going. Okay, here's eligibility real quick.
Okay.
This is on the SBA EIDL portal. It's on the targeted advance application. Do you owe child support? If you have arrears in child support, you are not eligible. Okay. And this is, by the way, I'm sorry. Back up. This is for all shareholders of the business of 20% or greater of the business. Okay. If you have arrears in child support, you are not eligible for the EIDL program. If your business earns most of its income from what's called the prurient sex trade, prurient sex activities, I forget what it's called, not eligible. If your business is a lobbying organization or a member of Congress, not eligible. If you derive more than 30% of your annual income from gambling activities, not eligible. There's a couple of other aspects in there, but generally speaking,
you're eligible. It's
you're
not
eligible.
If
you have some credit challenges, if you have other issues with your documentation, file it. We have a whole playlist here on YouTube, how to file an EIDL reconsideration. You can book a free 15-minute phone consultation with me for free expert advice. And you can also hire us to manage the process for you.
All right, let's get back to, are you done? Okay, Miss T, and then I'm coming back to you, Susan. Miss T, I was contacted by my state advisor to get my, okay.
That's great.
Yes, good news. This is good news. It means they're reviewing your file and they are moving on your file.
This is fine. You're a final lap here.
The only, I don't want to create or present a problem that doesn't exist yet, but I do want to share with you on the hazard insurance.
Especially because she's a trucking business.
And does trucking business. There's a couple of things you really want to pay attention to that could happen, but doesn't mean you're declined. They may come back to you after, depending on if there's, you know, if they're still having lawyers review this stuff, it's like, all right. But they may come back and say the property amount may not be sufficient. It's supposed to be 80% of the final EIDL loan. We do understand some business owners don't have $400,000 worth of business equipment or
that's insurable.
That's insurable. So, but they may come back and say the property limit is insufficient. Please make sure that you confirm on your policy that your name and address on the policy is exactly the same as the EIDL, exactly the same as the EIDL loan agreement that you already have, okay? Do not send a quote. Do not send an application of your insurance. Since your trucking company, they're not accepting auto insurance as of late that we have been advised.
SBA does not accept insurance on vehicles.
Okay. It has to be either a business policy because you work out of an office, or if you work from home because you're self-employed or a sole proprietor, a gig economy worker, you know, Uber, Lyft, or whatever. If you work from home and your home is the address on your EIDL, you can use your homeowners or your renter's insurance. If you use renter's insurance, please make sure that you add the property coverage. I think that covers it on insurance.
Well, Ms. T, I want to just address, because you're trucking. We had this argument with an attorney at the SBA a couple of weeks ago. We won the argument. It took us 5 days of emails back and forth. This attorney was a nasty son of a gun.
But it doesn't mean that, from what we've seen, the hazard insurance doesn't lead to a declination per se. It means that you have to get it or it's not enough. And you need
That's
to.
correct. It
Okay.
doesn't necessarily need to lead to a declination,
right.
Ms. T. But one last thing, Ms. T. Depending on what your trucking business is, in the case of this client, it was in Nevada. He was an operator who owned 2 cabs and a trailer. He had an employee, a W-2 employee who was a second driver, and he had a W-2 employee who worked as an assistant to manage his books, bookkeeping and invoicing and so forth. And that bookkeeping administrative assistant employee worked remotely from her own home on her personal laptop. When I queried the client about his truck, I said, when you have a repair for the truck, do you fix it yourself? Do you have a garage on your premises? He says, no, I live in a condo. I live in a residential condo. When I have the repair, I take it to a mechanic. Okay. Do you have some tools? Yeah, I just have the basic tools.
I'm kicking you under the table.
But I'm almost there. So here's why I'm bringing this up, because the attorney for the SBA literally said to our client by email, I find it hard to believe that a trucking company that makes $300,000 a year doesn't have any equipment, doesn't have any tools, etc.
And we had to actually
push back.
So this lawyer, this is the thing with the lawyers. I mean, this lawyer is trying, I'm a licensed insurance broker and he is a retired mortgage banker. Like, you're going to tell me how this is supposed to be? Just stop. That's why the lawyers, it's just another layer.
Ms. T, we're wishing you the best. Hang in there. It looks like you're on the coming down the final stages of getting your money. So we wish you the best.
Okay. Julian, first, thank you for the contribution.
Thank you,
it really helps. Susan, I am coming back to you, I promise. Loan
approved your loan. My portal says loan is confirmed, not loan approved.
Okay.
Not seeing loan docs yet. Tier 2 says 2. All right. Ignore what tier 2 said, Julian. Totally ignore that. When this is what I mean about when we tell people don't call the SBA, and if you're going to call the SBA, ask close-ended questions. When you ask the SBA tier 2 agent, when should I expect an approval? You see that's an open-ended question. Yeah. And when they tell you 2 days, you call back an hour later, speak to a different tier 2 agent. She'll tell you 3 weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Julian, you're in the final stages. It sounds like. Hang in there.
Okay, Susan, what do I do if I end up with a? Yes, you file a reconsideration. File a reconsideration. Go to our EIDL reconsideration playlist. There are a couple of very basic emails, how to write a reconsideration how to write a reconsideration letter, a checklist, has emails on who to email when you're sending in this request. Get your paperwork ready, make sure it's accurate, quadruple check it. So there you go.
I want to make a comment, folks, about how we present our information to you here on our YouTube channel. Again, as we have said, we are Aurora Consulting, and we actually process EIDL loans
Richard,
7 days a week.
Put the question back in. I can't.
Yeah, Richard, put the question back in. Sorry.
Oh, I found it.
This is really important, honey. So 7 days a week, this is what we do. We have over 230 clients right now. Last year, we did 40 EIDL original applications and PPP applications as a courtesy for those clients, and we have a 100% approval rate last year. And we are, in the last 7 weeks, our clients have received nearly $7 million of SBA approvals and or fundings. This is the thing. You saw me reading emails from SBA and making assumptions. You see me make comments about when I call the SBA, like a moment ago, I said to Julian, ask close-ended questions. You know what you'll never hear us say on this channel, folks? Not ever.
What?
We spoke to our contact at the SBA.
Oh, no.
We have no contact at the
There's
SBA.
no contact.
Ladies and gentlemen, no one has a contact at the SBA. Do you know why I know no one has a contact at the SBA? Because if you had a contact at the SBA, they'd be right here on the show with you.
Or they would fix the problems, not retract statements and so on. All
no
right.
one has a contact at the SBA.
Richard, we do not comment on target advance, so I'm skipping over that question, even though
sorry, Richard. We don't really discuss it for a variety of reasons.
Inconsistencies in your application.
Richard Gordon, welcome to the EIDL
welcome
SB
to the
SBA
show.
world. Inconsistencies, file your reconsideration. But here's what you want to do, Richard.
Yeah.
So, folks, the reconsideration process, what we want you to do, our continuing advice, is to take this time to step back, put your loan officer hat on, pretend you're the bank, pretend you're the SBA, and you're going to lend yourself the money.
Yeah.
And I say that you got to step out of yourself, because what you've got to do is review your documents and look for everything, Richard, that could be considered an inconsistency.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe there are none, but I'll tell you what, with over 230 clients, I see it day in,
every
day out. We had somebody last week, 6 different addresses. I asked him, can you give me an explanation for these different addresses for your residence and your business? The response I got was ridiculously stupid. And I can't even think of how I'm going to present that to the SBA. Okay?
Yeah.
You have got to take ownership, ladies and gentlemen, of your part in this process. Do not just depend on the SBA to do this for you. Okay? So use the reconsideration process as an opportunity to step back and review and perfect your information so you improve your chances of getting an approval. John R. Taylor, MBA.
Yes. I was declined because of unable to obtain. Okay. Okay. Responded back and asked for 12 months. Yes.
Okay.
That's
so, John, this is really good news.
Really good news.
So, it sounds like what you have, John, is a loan officer at the SBA with a brain and who's trying to make the file work for you, and apparently also has the authority to step aside from requiring the tax transcripts. So, some weeks ago, last week, the week before, there was the big explosion of the 4506T is going away. It's not going away, ladies and gentlemen.
This is like the third time you've said that.
But here's a situation where an SBA loan officer is providing an alternative method to verify the income for the business. And this is what I've always said here on our channel. When you talk about going to get your tax return stamped or sending your own transcript in, you cannot be a part of the quality control procedure to violate, to prevent fraud. That's only the SBA has that discretion. And John Taylor has just shown exactly proving what I've been saying all these weeks. Here's an SBA loan officer using their authority and their discretion to find an alternative to getting you the funding. for your loan. John, we wish you the best. We hope that that works for you. But a quick note, folks, about the 4506T. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to do a separate video about it. I'm sick and tired of hearing how the IRS is delayed. It's bullshit. You know why it's BS? Because just as recently as yesterday, 2 different 4506s that I looked at that were prepared by the SBA on the portal were wrong. And if you send those, if you sign those, and the SBA sends them to the IRS, they're going to come back no record found.
Or the zeros.
I have been looking at 4506 forms since 1996. These problems with the forms being filled out incorrectly are legendary. And by the way, you all are part of the problem too. Because when clients hire us and I see the 4506s that they submitted after the SBA told them it's a problem with the IRS, you know what I see on the 4506? It was wrong.
Yes.
So please watch our videos on how to fill out a 4506T.
Yeah, there's a video. There is a video on that. But also, not only are the business owners completing the 4506T incorrectly, but SBA is completing it for you, putting it. That. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention. Okay.
2 of them yesterday. One of them at 8 o'clock in the morning. Our client, who's a truck driver, was so happy because he got contacted by the SBA. Actually, he got contacted on Friday by a really good and responsive SBA loan officer. And I emailed her and she asked for documents. I submitted stuff and she was very responsive, including she asked for a 4506T, which when I went into the client's file, I realized the one I had created for him in April had expired. So I updated a new one. I had him DocuSign it on Saturday morning and I submitted a brand new updated 4506T, which was filled out according to our instructions in our YouTube videos, exactly how I do it as a loan officer. That's why when I went to the portal yesterday, because he got his offer of $389,000 from the SBA yesterday after we submitted documents, and when I saw the 4506T in the portal, the SBA had completed it incorrectly. And you know why that is?
Didn't you just say that already?
I just said it right.
Why
I said it again. I don't know. Sometimes
you said it, then I said it,
sometimes
and then you told me that you said it, and now you said it again. Okay.
Miss T, you're very welcome. It's our pleasure.
Jenny, no, it hasn't changed. If on the 2202, we've done a couple videos on this, and I get the same questions, and I'm not sure, not this question, Jenny, but in the video, I get the same questions. And in one of the videos, the longer video that we did in the video when we did it, it was like last October, so it was a little outdated. And we did say in the video that if you're self-employed and you're using personal debt for your business, you put it on the form 2202. I'm here to say you do not put personal debt on the form 2202. That video in the words that we speak on the video is incorrect. The pinned comment and in the description, it says, do not put personal debt on the form 2202. Why? Because they can see it on your credit report. That is why, but not.
They pull a personal credit report, so your personal obligations are going to appear there.
Yes. All right. So I hope that answers that on that. So nothing has changed.
What's digital nomad?
If you are declined, is there anything else?
Yeah, you can file an appeal digital.
Yes.
You have 30 days to file an appeal. And as we stated earlier, Jenny Combs asked the excellent question, how many times can I request reconsideration? Our advice, you just keep going until the SBA tells you to cut it out.
You know,
2 hearts, Jenny.
The thing is with keep going, just because you didn't get the money or you were declined, it doesn't mean it's over. It doesn't mean you're not entitled to it. It just means that they don't agree with what happened in your paperwork. And it all comes down to the paperwork. I did this, we said this on another live video where hopefully you've never been involved in a lawsuit, but if you have, you know how critical the documentation is and substantiating different information with documentation.
Or if you're a loan officer.
And then explaining the documentation.
Or if you're a loan officer, you're putting in applications.
Z-plates.
You know, it's all about submitting information that's the guidebook for the person who has to approve the loan. And if the information is defective, well, you know, there's an old expression in the New York area where I come from, garbage in, garbage out.
All right, Richard, let's try one more time here. Thanks for your reply. My loan officer provides a formula for businesses that began I'm not really sure what.
Okay.
but I think, right, read in between the three dots.
So Richard, I
the
think
3 dots is like yada 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 blah blah blah.
no. Okay.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
Remember Elaine Bennis?
All right. I'm sorry. I'm like in really serious loan officer mode today.
God.
All right. So Richard, before you put that banner away, just Richard, real quick. Here's why we can't comment on this, because it sounds like maybe you kind of have a unique revenue situation. And this looks like a workaround that a decent loan officer has come up with to try to, like to be eligible for the COVID-19 EIDL program, your business entity must have been in existence prior to January 31st of 2020. But very often a business may have been formed and have no revenue in 2019 or minimal revenue in 2019. And so the loan officer might come up with a workaround on how to get you money, in this case, as if the pandemic had never happened. So I don't really want to comment specifically to answer your question, just that kind of generic, general response, Richard. But thank you for joining us today.
All right. So now Sales Miami. This is awesome. Okay. So another address. Okay. So first, let's just point out something.
My brain is exploding right now reading that, right?
Right. So if this is not just, we don't know this, but Sales Miami, I don't know this to be your case, but this is general for everybody that may be in a position that did have to move because of the COVID pandemic. If you received an EIDL loan, this came up in an email or
earlier this morning,
earlier today. If you have an EIDL loan,
that was a YouTube comment.
Okay. If you got an EIDL loan in 2020 and you moved after the loan, you must notify the SBA within 30 days of your move. You can't just move if you have an EIDL loan and not tell them. It's in the loan agreement.
It's a federal government program, folks.
You have to let them know.
You borrowed money from the United States government. If your loan agreement says,
if you want me to explain why, put in the comments, please explain so I'll expound on that. But otherwise,
I think you said everything needs to be said. But
no,
hold on.
But people want to know, why do I have to tell them I moved? I had to move.
Because it says so in the loan agreement.
I know, but then.
All right, before you hang up, I want to say this, keep the banner up for a moment. I want to address this. Okay. To Sales. It says here, they denied people because the 4506 has a different address than last year. Okay. This is what I'm always saying to you people.
Side by side.
You're filling out the form incorrectly. Because guess what the 4506T has on it, Linda?
Instructions.
Current address and previous address, folks. So if you're filling out a 4506T today and you live at 1234 Main Street today, you put down current address 1234 Main Street and your town and your zip code. And if you were at a different address when you filed your 2019 tax return, and that was filed at 857 Broadway, then guess what you put in the box where it says previous address? You put 857 Broadway. This is not complicated stuff, folks. Slow down and read the damn form.
Yeah. All right.
Not against you, DeSales. I'm just kind of.
That's in general.
My brain's exploding generally.
Sometimes the comments are not specific to a person, but then remind us of certain general business situations.
We get what's the phrase? You get when you have PTSD and you get what's the
poked?
Word? I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm confused today.
Okay.
Speed is the enemy of accuracy. Yes, it is.
All right. Now, Kate's Cube. Initially, I was pre-approved for a certain amount of which you accepted full amount, and then, okay, yep, that's happened. That's
okay. So, Kate's we can't answer the question because it's going to depend on the level of review. It sounds to me like you filed an original EIDL application, which essentially is you are self-certifying to the data that you've put into the application. You put in the gross revenue and the cost of goods sold for the period ending January 31st, 2020, the 12-month period ending. So you would have put that in. And if you were declined and you file a reconsideration, now the SBA is going to request your tax returns. And then when they have a tax return and or a tax transcript, the loan officer does the calculation on what you're eligible for. So yes, the loan amount could change.
I'm putting in the comments, our other channel is more simple sense for small business. It's more generic for us, you know, mistakes in business we've made and we've seen that hopefully you don't have to encounter. And we did, it's a podcast style channel.
We talk about all kinds of,
but this is
simple stuff.
Vital
about businesses.
documents you should have at your fingertips at all times. And I'm putting that in the comments for you guys. We would love for you to subscribe to that.
Trigger. Jenny Combs nailed it. Trigger. That's the word.
Trigger. Yes.
Trigger.
Yes.
Thank you, Jenny.
All right.
Yeah. Trigger.
Here's Geo. How long does it take to send back the 4506?
You mean the tax transcript, Geo? And thanks for joining us today. Okay.
I'm coming to you, Gene Carlos.
The reason this question is being posed by you and is driving so many other people is because SBA and elsewhere here on the internet, everybody keeps saying the IRS is backed up. The IRS is backed up. I'm kind of sick and tired of hearing it. Not from you, Geo, at all. I'm sick and tired of hearing it because I don't believe it. I believe that if your tax transcripts are coming back with no record found,
yes,
it's not because the IRS hasn't gotten to your file yet. In my opinion, professional opinion of looking at the 4506 for 25 years, it's because somebody filled it out incorrectly. Either you filled it out incorrectly or the SBA filled it out incorrectly. And if there is one minor mistake on a 4506T, like your tax return has your middle initial and your 4506T does not have a middle initial, the IRS cannot locate your tax return. Right. Your street address is misspelled on your tax return, but you spell it correctly on the 4506T, comes back no record found. You can't find the tax return. Okay, so
I got to find that video.
Specifically answer Gio's question. When here at Aurora Consulting, as a financing brokerage, we're authorized to run credit reports. We run credit reports with real credit scores, not that crap you get on the internet. And we do that as part of our process when we're processing a client's EIDL file. I hate surprises, so I run a credit report to see if there's any challenges there. And the agency that we use, the third-party agency that provides our credit reports, also provides IRS tax transcript requests for mortgage companies and banks. And so when I log into their website, every time I log in, they have a message about IRS 4506Ts. Gio, so this is the answer to your question. Since January, here's what that website says. We are receiving transcript returns filed on this date and being received now. And on average, Gio, that agency is getting them back in 10 days or less. So this whole nonsense of how the IRS is backed up and how long does it take a trend, it takes just, and actually the SBA has, because they're a government agency, they have another methodology because you can get something called internally called like a short transcript. They can actually access that without a 4506.
I just put a link to the video that we did that is specific to completing the 4506 correctly to minimize your chances of it being returned with no record found or the zeros, the faded zeros. Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome to sales.
And folks, we hope that you don't take our passion the wrong way. We live and breathe this stuff. Occasionally, this one here goes out onto our property and she'll rip poison ivy vines down and plants flowers and stuff. I work in the office here.
Digging in the dirt brings me peace and quiet.
It's her zen. But I listen to Led Zeppelin and I work on client files. We're very passionate. We've been passionate about what we do since March 18th of last year. We watched our financing business disappear because of COVID, because the banks stopped lending, and we pivoted and we've become EIDL experts. So please don't mistake our passion for anger, and don't take any offense at it. We beg you, please. We are just passionate about what we do and passionate about helping you too. Called here today. The guy said my applicant finally got a loan, but wouldn't tell me the LO name. All right, this is on the grant. I'm sorry, we don't comment on grants, sir.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Right about the okay. They sent me an email today requesting all required info. Loan processing portal still crap. Oh, y'all only want to correct on the portal. Thank you.
Have to give you all 5 stars right about the disastrous portal. Thank you. They sent email today requesting all required info. Loan processing portal still crap. You all only ones correct on portal. Which, by the way, thank you, cousins, because it reminds me it's a video I want to do about the portal.
You mean on top of the other videos that we've
Oh,
done.
I have a whole list here of videos I want to do. But so let's talk about the portal. Linda mentioned earlier someone who commented on one of our YouTube videos who was very rude and mean to us. And he said, you know, if you're going to put yourself out there, you should expect criticism. Except this guy wasn't giving us criticism. Like, he didn't say respectfully.
No, feedback. I think he even said feedback, which is.
He wasn't giving us feedback. He was being a rude and mean, and he was speaking down to us as if he's an authority. And he spoke very badly to us in his comments. And we left it up. And he said, you are wrong. You know, instead of saying I have to respectfully disagree with you, which, by the way, you know, that's how you have a conversation, right?
Right.
Instead of saying I respectfully disagree with this dude, he said, you know, you're wrong, because I've helped, or I've helped over $20 million worth of EIDL, and I've 40% of my clients never got the email from the SBA, and if they didn't check the portal, they wouldn't know what was going on. Hey, listen. They got the email. It was in their spam folder. I don't care what they tell you, sir. It was in their spam folder, and they're just too damn lazy or incompetent to check.
Let's move on.
He said he disagreed with us about checking the portal. Here's why we tell you not to check the portal. Goes back to what Cousins just said. The portal is constantly defective. I did this just yesterday, 5 different times for 5 different clients, portal check-ins to upload documents or to review something on the file. And all kinds of problems, not the least of which is I uploaded the same document 78 times and it keeps saying incorrect, 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 incorrect. The document's not incorrect. Or the other portal that said I had uploaded a state tax return when in fact I had submitted a federal return. It cannot be trusted.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Armando. That's a nice compliment.
That's from
that's a different video. Sorry. I know he said we look great.
No, it was from last night's video that came up.
What else you got there, woman? Because we're going to wind it down. We're going to recap our video today, which is about the meltdown and then what you should do, your course of action. Hi, Lynn.
Lynn
applied for loan increase. Okay.
Yeah, this is
Keep waiting, Lynn.
Keep waiting. I know.
Take a deep breath.
Lynn, I see your comments frequently, and I know you're anxious. I can feel it in your comments. This
all you can do is wait.
Normal. Unfortunately, I'm not bragging about that it's normal. I am just simply saying it is what it is. And often in comments when we get similar of this nature with thinking this is an unreasonable time frame, I do try to say, and you can take it with a grain of salt, but try to redirect your focus on things of your business that you can control. You cannot control this. This is the way it is. It is sad and maddening, but this is the way it is. Please try to focus on something else, and something will happen eventually. I promise. All right.
I actually wrote a song called Think of Something Else. Think of something else. Yeah,
is it normal to have your amended tax return not show up on your transcripts?
You know, I don't actually know. I'm not afraid to say it out loud. I don't know the answer to that question. I've been meaning to call a trusted
This
CPA.
is a monumental moment, everyone. Monumental. Pause.
All right,
pause
down.
And let's this isn't I don't know. This isn't you don't know.
I don't know. So
right.
Let me explain to you why I don't know and what I'm planning to do about it. I don't know because in my long experience of looking at tax transcripts in the mortgage industry, I rarely ever worked with a borrower, an applicant rather, who had filed an amended tax return. So I don't have experience with it to share with you, Eric. And your question is spot on because you reminded me. I better write it down. That I need
write
to.
It down.
So I have 2 trusted resources. Does the amended tax return appear on the transcripts? Question mark. Call Joe. Call Janice. Period.
Okay.
Okay. So I just voiced messaged myself to remind myself. I have 2 really excellent authorities that I trust on this issue. One is a CPA. One is my former loan processor who ultimately became my loan underwriter at several mortgage companies I worked at. She's an absolute rock star. She now runs the entire mortgage department for a little credit union out in Long Island. And I'm going to reach out to those 2 and ask them that question, Irek. So please stay tuned. We will get back to you and give that an answer to that question.
All right. So Leslie,
a watched pot never boils.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
So Leslie Goodman, I want to say to you on the banking stuff, we cannot comment on banking, but I will tell you 3 weeks ago, I posted in our community tab And I can't get to the link to just copy and paste it in the comments. I will, but I will show you that hold on, if I can show you, if you scroll down, keep scrolling down, 3 weeks ago, there's an image and it says, if your bank account changed, what to do about it. It sounds like you've been waiting for an unreasonable amount of time. This is the post. Let me just remove your.
Well, Leslie doesn't indicate what the problem was with the deposit into SunTrust. So,
okay,
Leslie, you know, if SunTrust, if you're a sole proprietor and you file a Schedule C, what we have learned, especially through the debacle of the second round of PPP this year with independent contractors, Uber drivers, and gig workers and so forth, banks were returning PPP funds back to the United States Treasury left, right, and center because of one reason. It was appearing to be a business deposit, except the gig worker or the sole proprietor doesn't have a business account. They have a personal bank account. And apparently the idiots at the banks aren't making this connection that you could actually get a check from the United States Treasury for $8,000, $40,000, $100,000, and that you still can be a self-employed individual. And because it's not a business account, the bank thought it was fraudulent activity and shipped it back. Very disgraceful behavior, in my opinion. But again, you know, I've said this before, my opinion is the banks have done shit all since the early days of the COVID pandemic to provide any comfort or assistance to any of us out here in the world during the pandemic. The one thing they are doing is this. They're swooping up trillions in deposits, and they ain't giving any of that money. Wells Fargo 2 weeks ago shut down all kinds of lines of credit all around the United States. Thank you, Wells. Thank you, banks. Again, this is our opinion based on our observations of what's going on out there and our experience in the financing industry.
Well, Lin, I want to come visit you because we're in Hawaii. That's all I need to know. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap it up.
All right, so let me recap the topic of today's show, what the topic is about, and tell you what our recommended course of action is. First of all, the topic. Last week, the SBA rolled out gazillions of a tidal wave of declination letters on EIDL files, mostly on increases, but also many reconsiderations that were in process at the time. What the mistake or error or, you know, whatever this, we're calling it the massive meltdown of declination letters. And this is panicking small business owners all across the United States. Mm-hmm. What do I do next? Okay, so today we shared with you a couple of emails that our clients who were declined for their increase request in that tidal wave of declines last week, and our assumption of how SBA appears to be trying to fix this. Okay, so they're sending out an email to our client that says, the SBA administrator has asked us to contact you and tell you that your file is being elevated to management level. And then half an hour later, that client got a second declination, which left the door open to file yet another reconsideration. That's an important point to remember in a moment. We also came across a woman posting on Facebook how she spoke to 3 Tier 2 agents today, and she could tell the difference between people who are BSing her and people who are legit. And she said the Tier 2 agents, 3 of them told her, well, we're going to reset the portal for all of those mistakes. And so she actually saw that her portal was reset. So is this the fix? Is the other part the fix? If you trust the SBA to fix this massive mistake, you're nuts. So here's our recommended course of action based upon our interactions and work with the SBA and our understanding of how the SBA system operates, the machine of the SBA, and we've been doing this since March of 2020. Here's the machine. You file an original EIDL application. It's either approved or declined. If it is declined, the SBA sends you a declination letter that says you have 6 months to file a reconsideration and provide documents to support your argument that the SBA was wrong and you're right, you're entitled to get the money. 6 months. If your reconsideration is declined, then you must file what's called an appeal. with the SBA, and you have 30 days to file that appeal. And so that is the SBA mechanism. So SBA, are you telling me that with these cocked little fixes that we see appearing out of nowhere today, that people should not file a reconsideration? Oh, hell no. It's a machine, folks. You kind of got to trust the machine actually has a system that works. We know it works. We've seen our clients get results. So our clients have received nearly $7 million in approvals and fundings in the last 7 weeks. So we know that the system at the SBA actually does work for all of the dysfunction. You will get your money. But how do you get it? Our recommended course of action. If you received a decline letter from the wave of declines last week, today, immediately, do not hesitate. Send an email to pdcrecons@sba.gov and say, I hereby request a reconsideration of my EIDL application number, SBA disaster loan number, and send it in. Start the process. It all goes to the same place.
Yeah.
Linda Ray, take it away.
All right. I think that's it. We've got to get back to it. So we will.
That's Linda's way of saying that I have to load the car with the trash and take it over to the transfer station.
Yes.
Here in our little country town, we don't get garbage pickups. I have to deliver it to the. We learned early on, us transplanted in New York, not to call it the dump.
Leslie,
it's called the transfer station.
If your congressperson can help you, you stand alone.
Yeah. Generally speaking, folks, we tell people
alone.
Not to get the politicians involved. We have never once
seen a
politician get a file fixed.
If the politicians were useful, this would not still be happening and getting worse. Okay. They would have done something if they were in the authority or had the influence. Why is it getting worse? So if the just so you know, the internal workings of a federal bureaucracy, if a politician, if a congressperson or a senator contacts a federal agency about a problem that a constituent is happening, all that does is launches an administrative level investigation. Yeah,
and to determine what went wrong
and
respond back to the politician. It doesn't mean the problem gets fixed,
and it doesn't mean. And they called you that. Okay.
Dude, the congressperson called
guess what? You're going to have to still wait more with something else.
Yeah, we spoke to somebody last week who told us that actually he's congressperson, and this guy apparently kind of sort of harassed his congressperson's office to get it done. And he discovered from the SBA last week, the loan officer contacted said, well, my hands are tied, sir. I cannot move forward in your file because there is a congressional hold on your file.
Yeah.
You know why?
That was the help.
Federal bureaucracy.
That was the help. And now the loan officer couldn't at the time open the file.
That's why we're always saying to you folks, stop fighting a system. For all its dysfunction, the SBA system actually does work.
Whoa, that's like some strong words.
It does
no
work.
one is feeling like that is happening
this
right
massive meltdown that happened last week is no different than when the website changed over back in January, February, and that whole mess went down, or the disaster of the targeted advance, or the restaurant relief application files that website kept crashing on that day, or on April 27th when we were doing the increases and the website kept crashing and all that. It's part of the overwhelming process and the dysfunction. But ultimately, I guarantee you, I promise you, if you are persistent and you stop arguing with the SBA and you get your ducks in a row, folks, watch our videos, please, so we can teach you how to put your paperwork together properly. You'll be approved.
Yeah.
So hang in there. My name is Trevor.
All right. I'm Linda Ray. I want to thank you all for joining us. Again, we cannot tell you how much we appreciate the support of the channel for those of you who like us. And we really hope that our information has been helpful. If you're still here and we answered a question, we would very much appreciate you leaving a review on our Google page. I will put that in the comments as well, as far as the what the link is, but it's pretty easy. Google Aurora Consulting, and there is the review. But anyway, we're probably not coming live. Usually we go live WTF Wednesdays, which is tomorrow, but we were live last night. We were live this afternoon. We actually have files to process and work to do.
Garbage to take to the transfer
station. So we're probably not going to go live, but you know, if some of you are having some success that you shared with us, please keep us posted that you got approved. Success stories beget other success stories. Negative, complaining, and which we're guilty of too, but we try to, if we're complaining, we try to offer some constructive feedback on how to address the problem.
And again,
the only thing you have control over is your business and how you organize and prepare your documents and the accuracy of said documents. Accuracy
of said documents.
Okay. Everything else is noise. Okay. It's all noise.
Again, we want to thank you for joining us. And I want to remind all of you, we're very passionate about what we do. So please don't take offense at it. We're not trying to be rude. What are some of the comments? Rude.
Oh, we're mean.
Somebody
rude.
yesterday commented that we should be put in jail.
Oh, yes. You should be in prison. Oh, I wish I didn't block that person. I wish I had saved it.
Oh, stop. So our passion, thank you, Irek. Our passion is that we believe in you and we believe in the American economy. We are passionate fans of the small business owner, especially all of you, the small business owner. And please understand, we are actually fans of the SBA. For all of our trashing of the SBA, it's dysfunctional, but it works.
Yeah.
It works. If you are part of the process, don't be part of the problem.
Yes.
Oh,
that's
part of the process.
I am going to be tweeting that momentarily.
Okay. And thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we share this information based on our actual working on EIDL files. Last year, in 2020, I submitted 40 applications, 100% approval ratio, including 2 reconsiderations. And we continue to do that. We now have over 230 clients. And in the last 7 weeks, our clients have received nearly $7 million in SBA approvals and or fundings. So we know that you can get a result. But more importantly, the information we share is, we believe it's accurate because of our experience in sharing it.
And we're not saying that because we know there are bigger dogs out there, but we're saying that because some of these loans were impossible. Nearly impossible loans in the system for 6 months, and we got it approved. So there's hope, but you do have to be part of the process and not part of the problem. And part of the process is admitting, I've never done a business loan before, so maybe I should go back and check my accuracy of my information.
Eyes, cross my T's.
It could be as simple as this one comment who said, my address is different. Okay, but all right, did you do this and that and, other things?
That's the kind of thing that'll torpedo your file. So,
all right.
Again, thanks for tuning in, folks. I'm Trevor, and this gorgeous gal next to me is my love. Her name is Linda Ray. I know it doesn't always look like she's in love with me and I'm in love with her, but we are. And we enjoy sharing some time with you and sharing our expertise and knowledge. We are Aurora Consulting, financing solutions for your EIDL success story. Thanks for tuning in.
Ciao.
Have a great day.